think this is great to hear a parent's perspective, and
Yeah.
you're trying to figure out what you can do with these kids. And I think the more interviews you do and the more people you talk to, you'll find, I don't think that there's an only way, but there's going to be a right way that works out for you and what you're doing.
The Get There is a podcast about the journey behind the jersey, the unseen years before the scholarships, the rankings, and the bright lights. In each episode, we sit down with the parents and coaches who walked alongside exceptional athletes as they grew from white-eyed kids into disciplined, top 3% Division I competitors. These are the people who showed up early, stayed late, made hard choices, and quietly shaped greatness long before the world was watching. Through honest conversations, our guests share the strategies that work, the struggles that tested them, and the unique perspective of watching potential slowly turn into performance. We talk about belief and boundaries, pressure and patience, setbacks and resilience. Whether you're a parent, a coach, or anyone invested in long-term growth, the Get There explores what it truly takes to support an athlete, not just to win, but to become.
With our first kid, we're literally not even just sports. We're growing up at the same time too.
Yeah.
There are things that now we're caring about somebody else and trying to take care of them, and how do we do it?
Yeah.
And then by our second kid, we're still learning a little more, but yeah, I think that it's crazy. You don't understand that till you're a parent. When you're a kid, you're just like, oh, in the world is me. Like, everything always works out.
So you got 4 kids.
Yeah.
Emery, Falatau, Malika, and Lakepa.
Yep.
Emery, 4 years at Utah playing volleyball. 3 years at Utah?
3 years.
3
Yep.
years. She
1
started
year.
at Idaho State.
Yep, that's correct.
Falatau's in the middle of his career up at BYU. Malika played basketball for Bountiful High School and is on her way to the University of Utah.
Yep.
Okay.
She'll be checking in there middle June.
And Lakepa is a junior at Bountiful.
Yeah, he's a junior.
And there's some discussion around him.
There is. He's been recruited by 3 colleges right now. We got a couple of visits coming up in June.
Okay.
So we'll be down at BYU and then up to Utah State.
Okay. So 15, 20 years ago, you and Corinne, you got 4 little kids running around. They're all close in age, right? What's the age gap?
It's almost 2 years, like 18 months to 2 years.
Okay.
So they're pretty close. Like, obviously the older 2 are closer to each other, and then the younger 2 are closer to each other as far as like their relationships and how they get along. But in general, they're really close. Like, we did everything together.
Okay.
They did everything together when they were little. So
It's awesome. So you had 4 little kids running around the house, and in your mind, were you sitting there looking at them going, all right, I got 4 D1 kids right there?
no, that never crossed my mind. Sports wasn't like anything I'd seen a future. It was, we were taking them to a lot of different things, and my brother was playing in college, and we'd gone down to snow and watched him several times. Then one of them, 2 were playing at snow at the same time. One was playing up at Weber, and when our kids were younger, they liked playing in the backyard, kicking the ball, throwing it, catching it and stuff, but it wasn't like I was like, oh man, they're throwing it like a kid that can play football, or kicking the ball like somebody that's going to be great at soccer. Getting them into sports was like what we had just talked about at the beginning. I wanted them to be able to be good people. And so we had talked about it and trying to figure it out. And, the most common thing that you do for a kid is soccer, I guess, around here.
Yep.
And so that's where it started, was soccer with Emery and Faladao. And it was a little rough. I think Emery's first year was doing cartwheels and, chasing butterflies and telling other girls, and they're telling each other, oh, I like your hair clip or beret or whatever they're called that holds your hair in. And the dads are like, kick the ball that way. And the moms are like, oh, look how cute they are. And so it wasn't at the beginning now. There was no that wasn't the plan.
There was no plan.
No.
I expected you to say, yeah.
No,
I looked at my kids,
No.
and we had a plan, and this was it, and we were going to go make it happen.
No, and to be honest, when they were young, they were naturally fast, but they were always like above average in height, but undersized and like weight, and they weren't like big like the other kids. But Faladao, this is funny because everybody looks at him now, and he's just like this phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
He can, any sport he tries, he picks it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But when he was learning to walk, he started walking at about 7 months, which is early.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of like between the couches, go really fast and face first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he's walking. Oh, no, he's just kind of stumbling. And I started recognizing as he got better at walking, when he started running, he would go same arm and same foot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made him kept falling, because when he's walking, it didn't throw him off balance. But once he started running, to have both sides swinging. And so I was like, I'm going to fix this. And so, I talked with Corinne, and I just said I'm going to work with him a little bit every day to try to figure it out. Because I want him to be able, not even to play sports, just to run around, have fun as a kid, and not run face first into stuff. Because he was banging his nose up all the time, like bruises on his face here and there. And it was a little rough. It was funny sometimes, but where Emery was she was walking early, running, talking, and everything she was doing just seemed like, as a parent, oh, it's our first child. But it was like, oh, she's actually doing all this really well. Then we get to Follow, and he picked everything up well except for the running part. So it turned into sessions in the backyard. I'd have to hold his hand and make him like walk, and then try to get him to recognize like other leg, other hand. So here he is, almost 1 to 18 months. We're doing that, and it's tears. Like, he's frustrated because he doesn't understand. He doesn't have the vocabulary to say, Dad, this sucks. Like, and he's crying. And, Corinne would get a little frustrated. She's like, is this something we really have to do? It looks like it's uncomfortable for him. And I was like, but once he gets it, then he's going to be flying around. Yeah. And so through that, I think that him not being able to do that and his coordination was off, that lasted from about 1.5 to 3 of, you could just tell it was taking some work to get those mechanics going. Yeah. And so, that took a lot of work. And then from there, Milika and Gepa were the same as Emery. They just did it a little more natural and quick. Yeah. And so when I tell people that, they're just like, what? And Foldal doesn't remember that. I'm like, dude, you cannot run for the life of you.
I'm blown away. Yeah. He is, I don't have an eye for, like, I can't pick out, like, what makes elite athletes elite. But in watching him, I'm like, he's a great runner. Yeah. he's super good at running. Yep. And that surprises me that was the foundation, like that's the way it started for him.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know where that happened, but I think that sometimes when you do things so fast, you skip
some steps,
the fundamentals. Yeah. Right? It's like anything in life, sports or instrument or whatever your craft is. If you try to get to the end point too fast, you don't master the basics. Yeah. So then when the noise turns on, when the pressure's on, you can't default to doing it well. You just only know how to do it okay, but really fast. So
that's interesting. So sounds like you guys were pretty well, and I know that most of your kids played multiple sports all the way through high school.
Yeah, they did. When they were younger, it started out soccer was the basic one, and then Milika had actually kept trying to convince us that she wanted to do dance and tumbling, and Corinne had taken her to a couple of them, and just to like appease her and ease her mind a little bit. But she still wanted to do it after going a few times, and she's like, Dad, why can't I do it? And I'm like, you're taller than most girls right now. I mean, you're all the same size, like your structure, but I feel like you're going to be tall and, just a different build. I don't know if you're going to love it when you're older. And I'm like, just give soccer a little longer and give this a little longer. And, if that's something you still want to do in a couple of years, we'll come back to it. And so after a few years of her doing other things, she finally dropped it. But now she's looking, and I tease her, and at her games, I'm like, would you rather be the cheerleader holding the girl up or scoring the game-winning point in a game, and they're here for you? Everybody in this court is cheering for you. Yeah. I was like, which one do you want to be? And she's like, I know. This is so fun. I'm glad that I stuck with it.
That's cool. Right now, at least in youth sports, there's a lot of pressure to focus at a young age on one sport. So was that the environment that you were in at the time? Did you ever have any conflicts with coaches that, tried to encourage you guys to make decisions when the kids were younger?
Yeah, there actually was, and I was surprised when it first started happening with Emery and Follow in soccer. We had a couple of clubs trying to get us to come out of the rec and join their club. And but I was thinking about it, and we had talked about it. The problem with that is once that soccer season's over, they go right into club season. And so I didn't grow up playing sports, but I'd seen my siblings play. And I think and my cousins, and I think being a multi-sport athlete, I didn't know a lot about it. It was probably felt like it would be more important to do that than just to put it all in one sport at a young age. And so we had turned down like year after year, and there were some of the coaches were like, hey, you don't even have to try out. Like, your kid has a spot on our club team. They run really well. They can dribble the ball. We can kind of fine tune those things. But we ended up deciding to not do it and have them play other sports, because we didn't want like that, oh man, you're putting your whole life in this. And then if it's not even college, we weren't thinking about that. But say you even get to high school, you either might be burned out, you might not love the sport, or what if you don't make the varsity team? And now here you've just put, 3/4 of the year into that and nothing else. And so we felt like finding balance and doing more than one thing was probably the best direction to go.
There's just a lot of buzz around it right now. You hop on social media and it's like, that's what a lot of people are talking about. And I'm with you. Like I played a little bit of sports growing up, but not nearly as much as I'm exposing my kids to right now. And so as they're navigating their own little athletic journey, I'm like, well, what's the proper approach? What's the healthiest approach? What's the safest approach? All those things kind of are I'm trying to navigate that as well. So I'm wondering like what age they specialize, but I think I can kind of answer the question myself. College?
Specialized was, so we had this thing we saw them getting pretty good at soccer and then wanting to try their sports in the other seasons, I just told them like, Philadelphia's doing flag football and soccer, and I said, hey, and Emery's doing basketball, and she wants to try volleyball, but I just told them at 8 or 9, we got to sit down and say, which is the one sport between the 2 or 3 that you're doing that you feel like you want to do, that you want to play. And we're going to start putting more effort, and our training will be more like focused at being good at that sport. Not like that's the sport we're training at, but I would make the athletic foundation geared towards being able to perform better in that sport. And so like specialized training, we started with them at about that 9, 10, where for Philadelphia football, because he loved football, that's what we put a little bit more work into that. And then soccer was just kind of more for fun. So I didn't put the pressure on, you got to be able to dribble a certain way or have this footwork, because he wanted to know football. And then it was the same with Emery. Soccer was just for fun. And then we kind of took basketball a little more serious. And then when we really just dialed into it, and now they got to put in a certain amount of time, like reps for it, was junior high. Because that's when I figure puberty, because at 5 to 12 years old, some kids would be so elite so fast. That's where the genetics come in, natural abilities. But then you get to 13, 14, 15, some of the kids that were just like average, but they're doing it the same amount of time as you. So now they got the experience. They know how to do it. When that puberty and those hormones kick in, they may be catching up to you or surpass you. So by being able to specialize and have the advantage of putting in a little bit more work than other people, and while you're growing too, sorry, this is a little sidetracked everywhere, but while you're growing, your coordination changes, especially if you grow fast. And so in order to maintain them being good at their sports and compete at the level that they felt like they could compete and win, we got to really specialize in what you're doing while you're growing. So junior high felt like the right age to start doing that.
Yeah, I think puberty, I always tell my kids, I'm like, puberty is a great equalizer. Like, interesting things are going to happen when you guys all, when you have a whole team of men or women who have gone through it and are on the other side of it. In softball, it's even more interesting because they break the age groups into 3 years. So it's like 10U, anybody younger than 10, 12U, anybody younger than 12. And so my daughter essentially qualified for 10U, but was playing on a 12U team. And you get some second year 12U players that are 13, and some 13-year-old girls have already gone, they are well into their puberty. And so I've got a barely 11-year-old girl playing against what I would consider full-grown women. And so there's a couple years where it's really interesting to kind of sit and watch, and sometimes a little dangerous, but it's always pretty fun.
I think it develops them in a good way. One of Milika's coaches on her AAU team had decided to have them play in some tournaments where they would be playing in Europe. And then they actually ended up playing in a couple of tournaments where they played boys. They were Europe. And they got beat like pretty good one of the games. The other game was a little closer. But I think it helped them to come away with, instead of because men play at a faster pace, they were able to play as a team and better after competing at that higher level and seeing how fast the game goes. And so it taught them that, hey, it can't be this one-on-one dribbling. I can't just take these crazy shots. We actually got to move the ball. Yeah. So I think there's development there, and I think that competing against people that are better than you and older than you, there's advantages of learning. And if your coach or your teammates, if you guys are just dominating your age group, I think it's good to go challenge yourselves and play up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're dominating our age group, but we're competing. We're competing. So how did you handle? Well, did you have an impact on the sport that they specialized in, or was it just entirely up to them?
Honestly, looking back, at the time I felt like I was trying to leave it up to them. But growing up, I didn't really get to play sports, but watching my brothers play and play through it, my cousins play and play through it, and then my wife's family, there's some great football players too. Her dad played at Utah State. He played football there and wrestled when you could do two sports. And then her brother Jeff played at Michigan, won a national title in '97, played with Tom Brady and all those guys.
Wow.
And so he was Gatorade Player of the Year twice in high school. So I maybe subconsciously or biasly kind of tried to push my boys towards football.
Yep.
But maybe I was trying to vicariously live through them because I didn't get to do it.
Sure.
But yeah, I may have had probably more influence that I recognized at the time. Looking back at it, I might have pushed them a little bit more towards football.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's one of the things that I tell my kids is we don't know. There are body types matter, right? Genetics.
Yep.
You don't know. I don't know exactly what these kids are going to look like in high school.
No, not at all.
And there are certain bodies that work better for baseball, and there are certain bodies that work better for football, and there are soccer bodies, and but it's all kind of a gamble, I think, when they're younger. I guess you can kind of have an idea of how it's going to shake out. But.
Yeah, based on body type, I think that maybe you'll ask this question later, but when is the right age for some sports?
Yeah.
Looking back, I think maybe football was a little too early.
Yeah. When did they? Yeah. When did
they started the first year you could?
So 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Gepa actually they had changed it. So when Gepa got to Little League, you could play at 7.
Okay.
But he's on the younger end. So most of his first year, most of his teammates were almost 2 years older than him.
Yeah.
We decided to start him early in school, and so when we signed him up for sports, we had him play with his classmates who were older than him.
Yeah.
And that was the team, was just a bunch of 7 and 8 year olds, and he was still 6. But
yeah, it's a hot topic too. I mean, there's a lot of people analyzing, what age is the right age to get boys into football, and I've had, well, just in private conversations, not necessarily in interviews like this, but I've had people come and say, let them play flag, let them just be athletic, make sure they're strong, let them start playing tackle at 12. That's the right age. And I've also had people say, there's value to learning how to get hit. There's value to learning the plays and the motion, learning how to run, learning how to receive a ball and brace for impact. There's some value to that too. So I've had some high school coaches come and say, at 10 they're not going to get their bell rung. It's not as violent as some people say, and so we're kind of trying to navigate that too. I'm not really sure what to do, but
yeah, I mean, if a high school coach says that, maybe they, probably a little bit old school era. I think I've seen enough concussions in Little League to say that that's not true, but it's not probably as much as people that don't understand football think it is.
Yeah.
But it can happen. I think it can happen to anybody regardless of your body size. And, a lot of concussions that I've seen have been from their helmet and their head hitting the ground.
Yeah.
And that's nothing anybody can.
Yeah.
But yeah, the right age is a hard thing.
Was 7-on-7 this 7-on-7 thing, which I know nothing about? Was that a thing?
It wasn't.
When
So
your
flag
kids were?
football was the thing when
Sure.
my kids were little.
Yeah.
And I'd heard of the 7-on-7, but it's nothing like it's been now the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can put a little team together and you can travel the country and
Yeah.
probably find
there are kids
football
getting
year-round.
scholarship offers, receivers and stuff, tight ends, getting offers off of the 7-on-7, off of these looks because it's, obviously geared towards skill players.
Yep.
And so I think that there's a place for it, but, if football is your long-term goal and playing in college, that's what the helmet on. So there's a time and a place for it. I think the high schools probably do it the best way, where they do it organized and they're playing in tournaments where they're playing against other high schools. But some of these AAU teams and these travel teams, they get pretty crazy with it, and it's, it's filmed. They're treating these guys like they're pro athletes. They're showing up in all this gear, and then I think it takes away from the purity of learning to be a good human.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, it's only 45 minutes or whatever that you're
Yep.
in there competing, but the rest of life happens around that, and I think some of the showboating and the things that happen in that don't represent the sport well.
Yep.
But I can also see its appeal. I think that if you have a receiver or if you have a quarterback, some of these leagues actually do provide some great development.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was not like it is now.
Well, it's kind of, and I mean, I don't have any data to back this up. This is just according to my own hunch, but it's like when NIL popped into colleges, all of a sudden there was more money in high school, and now I'm not suggesting that, I'm not suggesting anything's happening to high school players, but it just seems like this business model is flowing down into youth sports, and all of a sudden it's like, youth sports is big business. I mean, it's big business.
Well, your hunch may not be wrong. I think that maybe you're right. I haven't really looked at when it became as popular as it is now, or when it turned in from a, sign up and compete and to like a business model like what you're saying. But yeah, that would make sense.
And it's a big moat. I mean, the tournament that we just went to, and I'm not condemning anybody. It is what it is. It's business and it's athletics and it's fine and it's a ton of fun. We're having a blast doing it. But I mean, the tournament pulled in $60,000 over a weekend. They had people to pay and there was some stuff and there were some expenses, but like these guys are making full blown careers out of it. And when I was a kid, it's like we played rec baseball, and anybody who wasn't terrible that wanted to play at a higher level, like the city would then put together a select team and it wasn't a travel team.
The fees are probably minimal, right?
Yeah. So the kids from Bountiful would go play the kids and get their bells rung by the kids down the road in Layton. But that was kind of like the accelerated program, right? Mm-hmm. And then it would filter into that. But now it's like, if you want your kid to be good, he's got to get on a travel team, and he's got to get out and he's got to play in 17 tournaments in the spring. And I've just got a lot of questions about how to do it and how to do it.
I think there is a place for it, and I don't know that a lot of these, what you're seeing on social media and everywhere else, it might not be the worst way to do it, but I don't know if it's the best way. Mm-hmm. And so I think you got to navigate that carefully. You got to talk to parents that have kids close to your age or have just recently been through it, mm-hmm. and try to find out if that's something for your kid or if that team or that league is for your kid. Yeah. But for me personally, like once fell down, got into high school, we weren't signing up to compete. So like me and a couple other dads that were coaching the Little League team took some of the boys, and we were doing some of those 7-on-7s. But once our boys got to 9th grade, we just decided that, the high school would be specializing enough that mm-hmm. they sign up in 7-on-7. Because outside of the fall season, in order to do 7-on-7, you're doing it in the spring. Mm-hmm. And so if you want your kid to be doing a spring sport, it's hard to balance doing a 7-on-7, baseball, soccer, or whatever it is in high school.
Right.
Because I think it overloads the kids' schedule. Their bodies are growing, their brains are still developing. So, you just might want to talk to the people that are doing it now, because it's changed a lot from when even from 4 years ago.
And I think it's going to change again. I think
Yeah.
I think it's going to just keep changing. How involved were you with development at home?
This is the part that's, I think, where maybe for my kids, for me and Corinne, we found that the best way to convince our kids to hang out with us was to be involved, was to do it with them. And so we found that getting on the ground and playing with them, playing soccer with them, and in the backyard, you know, we'd have little obstacle courses set up where they'd have to dribble the ball here, you know what I mean, and then knock this little tower over here, and then jump on the monkey bar and swing and do this, and then run back and dribble the ball and score.
You're developing a lot of athleticism at a young
Yeah,
age
so
through
it's,
that.
yeah, and we did it through play. It wasn't like, oh, only with the soccer ball. Like we had different things we were doing all the time. But in order to get our kids to want to be around us, we also were kind of, I guess, going through our childhood again. It was pretty fun. And so being able to play with them and do that all the time, I think made them think that this is just normal life. And so, you know, they didn't really hang out with their friends as much as some kids did when they were little. We did everything together as a family, hikes, camping, the lake, this park almost every day, whether it was, we played, you know, the lava tag game, and then Philadelphia would want to throw the ball, and then Emery would want to go shoot the basketball. So we made sure that everybody got a little bit of what they wanted to do, and then we did something together. But once, you know, like we talked about a little bit ago, that 8 to 10-year-old, once they picked a sport, then that's what the session started becoming. We'd go hang out, and then I'd say, hey, fall down Guppa, you know, Emery and me, go just play a little bit on the playground. I'd take fall down Guppa, and we'd do some ladder drills or throw the football and getting them how to, you know, work their fingertips and do the ladder drills and cone drills. And then I'd switch the girls, and we'd go over on the basketball court, and we'd do their drills. And then on the weekends, if we had enough time, they both had to do each other's. So then that's how the boys learned to play basketball. And the girls can throw football, and they can run some decent routes.
Run routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched an interview of Emery, and she talked about running routes for her brothers.
Yeah. And they had to rebound for her and do the basketball drills with her.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then the conditioning was hill sprints. Mill Creek was the main park we went to, but our kids are familiar with most of the parks here in South Davis County, because if one's busy, we drive to the other one. And it was, over time, it became more scheduled, like, hey, you don't have games these days, so, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays we're going to hit the park. We'll do some of the drills, and then we can play around after. But I tried to make it fun when they were young, so make it more like games. And as they got older, it became more like serious. So development came with the better they got, the more locked in we got with the training.
And it sounds like you were pretty thoughtful about merging kind of your intensity and level of commitment with their emotional commitment, and then but also love and passion for the game. Yeah,
because a 5-year-old's not going to understand if you're cussing at them and yelling at them.
Right.
But a 16-year-old might understand that better, and they're just going to take the message out of it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I took it with as they got older, and Corinne was huge in that. Like, she has this ability. She's great at nurturing.
Yeah.
Like, she's a great mother, and she's good at seeing people's needs and trying to take care of them.
Yep.
And so that was a balance, I think, that helped me when we would, you know, go spend time with the kids to try to figure out, hey, they're just kids.
Yep.
They're not going to learn it all at once. So let's break it up.
How much professional coaching did you expose
So
them to?
when they were younger, because I didn't know a lot about sports and specific sports, and I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos, read things on social media, trying to find people that were doing training, and I would take pieces of things and put it together. Some things worked, some things didn't. A lot of trial and error, and my kids are really gracious during it because they got to hang out with each other still. And, you know, to me, it was like probably a little more frustrating trying to figure out what would work. But to them, they were just having fun and getting to train. But they didn't really get any other training from anyone else. I tried my best to learn and understand it. Some things I try myself. And I feel like specialized training, there is a place for it, but most of the coaches and teams that were reaching out for us, for our kids to come do their programs, to come join their gym or play on their teams or play in their leagues, I would go watch, or I'd go look, or I'd look at their social media and see how good their athletes are. And if their athletes are similar to my kids' level or better, I would entertain, like, maybe that's something they can go check out. And they did go do a couple, like, the free trainings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. A few of those they came back from and said that that training was still behind where they were. Or I would see that some of these teams weren't playing at the level that my kids were. Mm-hmm. And so for me and my wife, like, 4 kids, finances are tight, it gets hard. We decided that unless those teams had, like, really elite players, and it sounds like I'm bragging, or I don't know, we wouldn't have them go do that training. We wouldn't put money into it. Yeah. And so, pretty much all the training has been with me, or they pick stuff up, and then they would, kind of do stuff on their own. And once they got to high school, a lot of their lifting, especially for the boys, they do a little bit more with the football team. Mm-hmm. But during season, we still do, like, recovery or other work on the weekends. But off season, they were working out together for a long time. And, I might not be able to play the sports or do things as fast and as well as they do. I didn't grow up doing it, mm-hmm. but I can get under a bar a lot better than them. Mm-hmm. So the advantage is once they got to about 14, now they're in my world where I could teach them, because I don't think there's a right age, but I don't think kids should be getting under a bar. Yeah. Or going to somebody else to get weight training if they can't even hop on one leg, you know what I mean? Yep. Roll and do a somersault and pop up and be balanced. Or there are a lot of things you got to be able to do with your body control before lifting comes in. The gym should enhance your sport. Yeah. You shouldn't be, you should be able to do all those things and move well unilaterally, with every plane, before you think that weights are going to be the thing that separates you from everybody else. Yeah. So, for us, we didn't, but I see that there is a lot of value in it, and I've seen tons of people grow through getting specialized training. We were just fortunate enough that, we had, like I said, trial and error, learned things over the years that worked and didn't, and I would get them on programs that they're moving a little bit better than their peers. And
programs that you created through your own research and kind of customized to your own kids. Yep, to my own kids. And it was just the level, when they were 10, wasn't as complex. And then by the time they got to middle school, it was a little bit more complex. And then during high school, their off season, it's a lot. How did your kids respond from, like, a passion part? Like, did you have to push? Did you have to motivate? Did you say, here's the schedule, here's the weekly schedule, and we're doing it? Or were they pretty excited to go and train? I think younger, they were excited, especially because they're close in age, getting to spend that time with each other. Mm-hmm. And then it was a family event every time we went and did it. So I think early on it was them. But as they got older, I think because we did it so much, they just trusted that if, I went or Corinne and I went, or whoever, sometimes we train with other friends and family or go to other tournaments. But I think when they had other people going, it felt like it was easy to do. I don't think it became their passion. I mean, obviously we had talked about they would pick it at a young age, 8 to 10 years old. Yep. But the competing, I think, is where they love competing so much. Yep. That's what made them, like, stick with the sport and keep doing it over and over. And so younger, it was easier, but when they got older, I probably pushed them a little more. And Full Down Emory, like, as they got older and better at competing in high school, they kind of took it upon themselves to do some of the extra stuff. And same with Milika. Gepa, he's the youngest. We're kind of still navigating that one. I don't know how your youngest is, but funny. My youngest is funny. Yeah, we'll see. The rules don't always apply. Oh, man. And it's fun. You see other parents. They're like, just wait. And I'm like, it's not going to be us. And it's, dude, it's us. Yep. We just, whatever, man. Yeah. And it didn't happen for us and Gepa until recently. And it's not a bad thing. He's a great kid. Yeah. It's just sometimes, like, that motivation, now that his siblings, 2 of them aren't in the house, I think he misses that a lot. Yeah. So that drive is not the same as it was when they could do it all together. Yep. And so, like, when I say that, let's go get a session in, he's like, I got to go get coached by my dad at the gym or the field. It's different now. I watched, he was a former pro guy. I don't know who it was. It doesn't matter. But he basically was like, if you've got to push your kids, he's like, if you've got to push your kids, that's not it. It's not them. Like, it's got to be their mission, right? And I'm sitting here being like, my 8-year-old is not in love with sport yet. He's not. Like, he likes it. We're having fun, And I'm pushing them as much as I think I can. But they fall in love, in my opinion, it's like they fall in love with it through, you know, he made a diving catch in the outfield at 7U. Boy, he came off the field with a big old smile. Like that laid a brick, right? He gets a couple big hits in baseball.
Another brick.
Yeah. He got an interception in flag football. Came home with a big smile on his face. That's a brick. Like, and I can match that. And I think, yeah, one day it's going to be their passion. Yeah. But when I remember watching that video, thinking, I guess I got to quit. Like, I guess my kids aren't going to play sports because they'll pick the TV over going out and running wind sprints with me for sure, 100% of the time right now.
Well, the way to look at it is like anything in life. I think that what we want for our kids is different than what they want. So to an extent, we have to want it for them. And I think when coaches say that, you got to look at like, if a kid is going to do it on his own and he's going to have all that want, how is he getting there? What are the resources? No 8-year-old can drive themselves to the gym. Yeah. Who's paying for them? Who's signing up for the specialized sessions? Like, you got to take it as they get older, and you want it for them when they're little. Yeah. So that's where the want comes in, and you help navigate that. Yeah. You know, like, hey, turn the TV off, get the sprints done. Yeah. Then you can turn it back on. Yeah. But I think it gets to a certain age where they do got to want it, and I think that age for me is like 14 because you're old enough to play in high school. Yeah. And now there's no excuse. You know, there's 80 other people on the football team or 9 other people on your basketball team. Yeah. They're choosing to do it too. Yeah. So is this what you want? Then you got to start choosing some of those things yourself. Yeah.
Well, and to that, to defend, you know, the random individual on the internet, he didn't specify an age, and I'm sure he was talking about some more mature kids. But for a second, I was like, dude, you know, that's not my kid. He doesn't love it.
Well, we're in a different day and age. We're fighting a different battle than our parents did, and even maybe people just one generation ahead of us. Like social media, electronics, all these devices, the way that kids' attention is being pulled is a totally different battle than what we faced growing up. And so I think the want changes, right? Like the access that they have now to everything, you know, it processes that like, I can fulfill this need right now. Yep. Yeah. Where with sports or other things in life, art, instrument, you got to put the work in over and over and over to see the payoff. And so I can't even imagine like my siblings have kids that are young. Now that we're almost empty nesters, I'm seeing that generation just like, you know, iPads at dinner tables, restaurants. Yeah. And it's like, get down and play with your kid. Yeah. I'm not talking about my siblings, so if they watch this later. It's like, I'm talking about I'm seeing that their generation and those kids, it's like, yeah. And going back to earlier, the way we got our kids to do it is we got down and did it with them. Yeah. So then they just saw that this is what we do.
This was a normal life. Yeah. I can defend all the iPad people. I got a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
He navigates a computer better than me, and I don't think, you know, we've got a lot of structure around how we approach those things, but at the same time, man, he's getting way more exposure to it than any of my other kids did. So
yeah, it's hard. That's how our youngest is.
He looks people in the eye when he talks to them, and he can communicate with an adult. So I'm like, he'll be all right.
Yeah, well, that's good then. Yeah.
How'd you guys handle failure as parents?
It's hard. Going back to the story you told at the beginning, I think that our perspectives are way different. So sometimes when they fail at something, it might be hard for them in that moment, but we watch them fail or do things where, you know, every milestone is hard, but it's more probably emotional for us. But then as they get better at things and compete, they might summarize that whole day or that whole game off of one bad play. Yep. And so that was hard when our kids were little. Like my thing is like my love language isn't like touch, hug, like saying the L word. It's a joke that if I say that word, I mean it. So I don't say it a lot. Yeah. And so handling failure was something that was like, like walk it off or get back into it. So my thing was distraction. So like if they fell and got hurt, I would joke around, you make sure that concrete floor is okay. And wipe the walls. Like, oh man, you didn't, the wall's good. It's like the wall's okay. You know, mine was distraction. Corinne was more like words of affirmation. Yeah. You know, she would tell them they could keep doing it. Yeah. But regardless of whatever it was, we never let them stop doing it. Yeah. You know, if football got hard and I don't know if I can do this. Like, well, we agreed to this, that you put 2 or 3 years into it. So when we get to the third year, we can talk about if we need to do something else.
Yeah.
And so handling failure it's hard because we're not on the field with them.
Right.
So I think they got two perspectives. Mine was probably a little bit more harsh, and then where Corinne's was that nurturing side. But yeah, it was like teaching our kids, they're so competitive that like if they mess up a play or lose a game, they feel like, man, I didn't help my team enough. And as they got older, they started to realize, I had this coaching phrase I would always say is like one play at a time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's all you can do. You can't focus on the one that just happened that you missed. You missed an opportunity. And you can't focus on the one that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
So that's a tricky one. I think that, you got to give your kids confidence, but some of that stuff you got to let them fail.
Yeah.
They had a hard game. They lost. You can't blame anything. It's like everybody put their part in and they walk away from it like, maybe I didn't do this. And yeah, maybe you didn't, but maybe the guy next to you didn't either.
Right.
He didn't do every play great. You didn't. The other team might have just played better than you guys.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of things. Like there's got to be some tough love, but then there's consistency. Just not quitting is the only thing. Like if you lose a game, come back the next season, get better, do it again. Don't let that deter you from not trying.
I think it's important to learn how to lose.
Yeah.
I think that's something you learn. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to learn how to win too.
Yeah.
And I mean that in all the areas, like athletically and actually going out and winning, but then also handling winning. And I think there are challenges with both, mm-hmm. which as you watch your kids kind of go through it, it's like, yeah, they get to navigate it. And I think it's a real healthy thing for them.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's great to lose big games now and then. But it's a ton of fun to win.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a ton of fun to win.
And winning can be in the moment, right? You get the tally that you won. Your score was higher than the others, but I think in general, as you go on, it just applies to life too. If you don't quit, you keep coming back.
Yeah,
you're still winning.
Yeah.
You didn't win that moment.
Yeah.
But you won because you came back the next day. You came back to the next game, the next drill, the next session.
It sounds like you and Corinne were really proactive about mindset, work ethic, grit.
Yeah. Yep.
And all of those things were being reinforced. I mean, I think coaches have a huge role in that stuff, mm-hmm. but I think there's I've already had, and I mean, my oldest is 12, but I've already had so many opportunities to talk to my kids about the right mindset, the right approach, work ethic, grit, not quitting. So how was that reinforced at home?
So obviously now that they're having success, people have asked us what do you do? Is there something that you could point us to? Or they ask, Corinne and I, can you guys do this for us? And the control that I have that coaches don't have is we're their parents. So when we leave the field and we're done with their training, we're still in charge of when they go to sleep, how much sleep they get, what they're putting in their body, what they're putting in their mind. And so that mindset came from, we found spirituality. We kind of made sure that was something consistent, that our kids knew that there is something greater than us, greater than them. Yeah. And then, being able to control, I shouldn't say control, providing structure for kids is important because like you said, if you let a kid choose something, they're going to choose the easy thing every time. They're going to choose the most entertaining thing, the most appealing thing, whatever's shiny. And so to have that mindset, consistency was just, convincing them, hey, if you get this much sleep, you're going to have energy, you're going to perform better. You know what I mean? It's one play, it's done. You can't focus on it. You lost it or you won it. You got to move on. And then it's the same with church, showing up, having faith, putting work into your spirituality, because it all carries in how you do everything, your mind, your body. I think, something I tell my kids all the time, there's a frequency we have. In order to have that mindset when they were young, it was just having a consistent structure around it and them getting to apply it and seeing the benefits of it. I'm getting a little better. Mm-hmm. I might not be the best, but I'm getting a little better. I'm getting a little better every time in, all these different aspects. So that mindset kind of, instead of having to reinforce it or come up with certain sayings all the time, I think through them doing it, they learned it. And so they're like, hey, our family hangout is we're going to the park from 5 to 7 every Tuesday and Thursday. They're knowing that there's a certain time we do this and we're doing this certain kind of training, and it's paying off. So they're seeing that consistency. So now when they get older, it becomes easier to block out time to say, hey, I got to put my training in. I got to turn down going to fast food all the time. You know what I mean? I got to make sure I'm checking in on Sundays or hitting my knees in the morning or whatever it is, because they see the payoff. The mindset starts when they were young and having that structure. And it makes it a lot easier that they were doing it together, them four.
Yeah.
And having that all the time. And so looking back at it, people would tell me oh man, your dad's so strict. You guys got to go to bed at 8:30. It's the sun is still up sometimes at 8:30 and my kids are going to bed, but I remind them, but you got to get up. You're not going the same place as them in life.
Yeah.
I promise you, eventually, when you get under the Friday night lights or the Saturday night lights or the Thursday night lights on a court or whatever you're doing, those same people aren't going to be standing next to you.
Man.
And so they trusted that process that Corinne and I had kind of had our family structure around, and it started to pay off. I don't think they saw it as strict when they were little from us,
Yeah.
but other kids would always tell them man, you guys can't do anything. But they spent so much time together and they're doing the things they love now. So the trade-off was you sacrifice a few hangouts with your friends and little trips with your friends when you're little, and now you're paying for trips for yourself and whoever you want to go with you, and you're getting to step into whatever it is in life that you love now, and they're having a good time with it.
Yeah.
So
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
and family, I think,
No, yeah.
our family is super supportive. So them seeing other people do it before them shows that mindset that, hey, putting this time into my body and my mind and my spirituality pays off, because it's paved the road for so many other people.
Yeah, there's a legacy, right?
Yeah.
You look at collegiate athletes and even pro athletes. It's there's a legacy. There's always, not always, but I think a first generation professional athlete is a pretty rare thing. So you see these kids going into play college. It's well, they've got cousins or brothers or uncles that have done it.
Yeah.
But for someone down the street, they're oh yeah, my brother played in the pros. It's whatever. I don't think it's whatever, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot into that whole story of how that kid got there, and all the time and effort and work, and what I'm realizing too is culture, familial culture, played a huge role in a child's ability to compete at the highest level, right? And we're all talking about sports, but for me, man, it's sports is cool and it's tons of fun, but
it is.
But life is big. These kids that play at a high level are going to have an opportunity to do really cool things outside of whatever athletic venture they're doing at the time.
They are. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that without our family support from both of our sides and having those connections with people that have done it before in college and in the pros, and it's weird. Everybody knows somebody that has done it.
Yeah.
But when you look at the statistics, it goes from little league to high school. Now you're dropping to less, and then to go high school to college, it's 2 to 4%.
Yeah.
And then to go from college to professional, and now you're at less than 1. And so when you know somebody, it's it's crazy that you know them in passing, or you know somebody that knows them, but out of a few 100 million Americans, it's less than 1% play professional sports. So
it's very rare.
it just shows that overall, probably less than 20% of people have the dedication or mindset to pursue something that long through maybe little league for a lot of kids, 8 all the way until 22.
Yep.
How many 8 to 22-year-olds put in that so that they can eventually chase their dream? And for a lot of those people, it's cool. They use that dream to help other people to give back to where they came from. So, but yeah, it takes family, it takes culture. For us, it was choosing the right neighborhoods. It was choosing the right schools, which is crazy because you think, oh, you're just going to go wherever you live.
Yeah.
But we lived with Corinne's parents for a little while in Rose Park, and I just looked around at the schools, and we had been looking. They grade schools, elementaries.
Yeah.
And they had low grades, and we had to make a decision too, because at the beginning we talked about, did I look at my kids and say they're going to be athletes? No. My whole goal for them was I thought that their education would open the doors to life.
Yeah.
And so in order to get a good education, because my parents were able to, they purposely bought a house in Sandy because they felt like that the elementary is there, and being away from, this is kind of sad to say, but at the time I was like, why don't we get to see our cousins all the time? But my parents were right. They moved us away from the west side and like some of what other Polynesians were getting into,
Yeah.
and put us in an area where we wouldn't get into that.
Yeah.
And so then when I became a parent, here I was as a kid annoyed, I'm going to do it different. We became parents, and Kurt and I decided the same thing. We didn't want our kids going somewhere where they wouldn't have a better step, maybe a first step or an advantage to life. And it starts with your mind. Like, if you can put them somewhere where they can have better advantage at learning, I think that's what you got to do for your kids.
Yeah.
So that culture is where you live, who your kids are around, you know, the teams, it's all the community, church, family. So
Yeah. That's great. But were they always on great teams? Did they win a lot? And were they always dominant players?
So yeah, they were always on teams that actually competed pretty well.
Yeah.
In every sport. As far as them individually and dominating, over time, yes, but they were just like, Feldau wasn't the best football player right away.
Yeah.
But he was one of the faster kids.
Yeah.
He was long, you know, his athleticism, his timing and stuff was a little better. But over time, he started to be able to separate himself. And Emery, girls hit puberty faster, and so she was tall and fast at her age. And so I think for her, that probably came a little sooner than it did for Feldau. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they were like, looking back, and talked about this with my in-laws, because I realized like probably by the time Emery got to college that we were fortunate enough by picking some of these right places that Bountiful has a great little league program.
Yeah.
And a lot of great parents who step up and coach, and
Yeah.
Feldau and Gepa have been on some pretty good teams. They've won a few championships. And then this is how elite it is. Feldau, from his little league team, at one point, coming into the sophomore year of college, 5 of them were playing in college.
Wow.
They played at different high schools. Had they stayed together, that would have been a different story.
Yeah.
And then for Gepa right now, some of those little league kids are at different high schools, but they're going to some of these big camps and they're getting MVP. You know, they're competing in state every year with their football team. So there's some elite talent coming out of Bountiful for these age groups that are having success, and that's part of the culture and the mindset is, I mean, you can still have that success. I just think the opportunity is more advantageous by playing on teams that, you know, are able to win a little more.
Yeah.
So.
Success breeds success.
Yeah, it
pushes
does,
the kids,
for sure.
and they want to compete. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
And think about, like, you know, if you're playing next to a guy that's just phenomenal, whether you like it or not, you're probably going to get a little better.
Yeah.
You know, every time you're at practice, you're doing a play against him or next to him.
Yeah.
And so I think this area has produced a lot of great teams and some pretty great athletes, and I've got to meet a lot of really great parents and coaches. So
Emery is finished at the University of Utah, and she
is.
She has she's having an opportunity to play.
Yeah,
pro.
she signed with an agency, so they're trying to network and see if they can get her either drafted or picked up by a team this summer or fall. She had a tryout with there's a pro team in Grand Rapids, so last month she was out there doing a tryout, and there was her and another girl, and they're mostly through their season, so this team was making a push for the playoff run at the end of the season, and they came from a losing season, and now they have a chance to compete. And they took a look at Emery, they had a tryout, and so it didn't line up with the piece that they thought they needed at the time. Mm-hmm. But she said it was a pretty cool experience, and she feels like it was a good taste of what's about to come, so she's pretty excited.
Yeah.
And she'll be the first pro athlete on, like, my dad's side.
Yeah.
And then on her parents' side. So my mom's side is where all the other cousins that have had, like, you know, playing the NFL and play some rugby and pros and stuff like that. But she will be
the first one.
Yeah, if she gets picked up this summer or fall, then it's pretty exciting. And the first athlete's a female, and Emery's pretty badass. So
yeah,
we're excited for her.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Falatau, I learned this today. I wasn't paying close enough attention a few years ago, but he was Mr. Two-Way when he was at Bountiful,
Yeah.
so played offense and defense.
Yep.
2024, they were 5A state champs. Last year at BYU, he had, according to these stats, he had 84 total tackles, 47 solo, 4 picks for 65 yards, and I think 1 pick six
Yeah.
against Iowa. It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Well, it was redeeming, for sure.
Okay.
So that was a rough start.
I'm personally gonna let that slide.
Yeah, no, we loved it. we were at home watching it. Corinne almost passed out from jumping up and cheering when he had that interception.
Yeah.
And then she was screaming so loud, and she said, like, the blood was rushing to her, just kind of going out. And then she's like, did he score? She turned down to us and like, yeah, he scored. Because she was so happy. We were so happy. We had her parents over. We were all watching it. And, you know, when the game started, it was a little rough with that first play of the game. But, yeah. And then on that 2024, they actually lost at state.
When did they win then?
They won the year after he
25.
graduated. Yeah.
The year after they graduated?
Yeah, so Gepa was part of that team, but he didn't get a lot of varsity time. But I said it still counts because he was on the scout team. He's competed against varsity every day at practice, and
Yeah.
he got some varsity reps. So
Okay. Well, Falatau seems like anytime he's on the Sports Nation show or anytime he's on, he's just got a big smile. He seems like he's just having a blast.
yeah, even since he was little, he's been a happy kid. I don't know if he's going to be embarrassed if I say this, but when he was younger, he's a little bit emotional. But which I think is a great thing. I think he's learned to navigate that really well now. But yeah, he's a happy kid, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think being around him, it's crazy. Like, sometimes I could be stressed out or upset in a parent or be in that mood where I want to just correct something or lecture them.
Yep.
And then you get around him and it's just like he brings that down. So he's a good kid.
Yeah. What if you were to boil it down? Talk to me. I got 4 kids. They're all in youth sports right now. What do you think? What do you think the thing I should focus on the most is?
Man, like looking back, I think there's so many things, and I could probably have a list of a lot of things. But I think be involved as much as you can, man. Like this time goes fast, and your kids might be a little annoyed when you're doing it, but I think if you can coach, if you can, like I said earlier, get on the ground and play with them, do the wind sprints with them.
Yeah.
Just be involved. Be involved in every aspect of their life that you can, because you'll be grateful for it later, and it'll build things with them that you might not recognize now. So
That's great. That's great input.
I think this is great to hear a parent's perspective, and
Yeah.
you're trying to figure out what you can do with these kids. And I think the more interviews you do and the more people you talk to, you'll find. I don't think that there's an only way, but there's
No.
going to be a right way that works out for you and what you're doing. I think for most kids, it's hard to be parented and coached by your parent, because then there's two fears of disappointment. Now you're worried about letting down your coach, but you're more worried about letting down your parent. And that line is for them, it's blurred. It's hard for them to see what that is. So maybe that's where that lashback is. I went through plenty of that with all my kids. Phil and I had some pretty hard headbutting, especially when you got into high school. But I think as a parent, don't let it deter you, because I promise you, just because your kid says they hate something or don't like something or this is hard for them, they're not saying give up on me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you gotta just, if you keep showing up, they're gonna love you for it later. You'll love yourself. So it's just a hard moment. It'll pass.
Just gotta let it go, let it pass.